Hello, my name is Janelle Rogers, and today I'm going to be talking about sensory processing disorder, specifically sensory modulation disorder. Sensory processing disorder is a neurological disorder that affects how someone processes sensory input. In other words, kids with this disorder perceive and or respond to sensory input differently than most people do. Children with this disorder may also have autism or ADHD, but they can exist separately. So I wanted to talk about there are three different types of sensory processing disorder. They are sensory modulation disorder, sensory-based motor disorder, and sensory discrimination disorder. As mentioned before, I'm only going to be going over sensory modulation disorder in this video. So sensory modulation disorder is where kids have a hard time regulating their responses to sensory input. Your child may struggle with sensory over-responsivity, meaning they can over-respond, under-respond, or crave sensory input. They may respond to sensory messages more intensely and or for a longer time than others. So this may look like being upset about a texture of a food or avoid changes or transitioning from one location to the next. They may struggle with sensory under-responsivity. So this may look like they're quiet a lot, unaware of what's going on around them, or have delayed speech responses. They may appear withdrawn, have poor body awareness, or have trouble perceiving objects as hot or cold. So a lot of safety concern there. There's also sensory craving or sensory seeking. So examples of this may include having a high pain tolerance, walking with loud, heavy steps, and jumping, bumping, and crashing into objects or people a lot, or even staring into bright lights for extended periods of time. Now, I want to talk about Ayres sensory integration. It is evidence-based, which is, important. With sensory integration, the child leads the therapy session, so that would look like the child choosing which objects they want to play with. Specific equipment is used, and the child is challenged, and we call it like the just right challenge. We don't want things to be too easy. We do want to, challenge their abilities, their skills, safely. There are activities that help a child figure out how to navigate, for instance, an obstacle course, or riding a bike, or taking their socks, or putting their socks on and then their shoes, taking their shoes off and then their socks off, stuff like that. And ultimately, we want the activities to be rewarding for the child. A way you can promote sensory integration during play at home is by having a sensory-rich environment. If your child seeks sensory input, don't hide them from it, encourage it. There's nothing wrong with what they want. We just want them to be safe and feel regulated. If you can use weights or weighted blankets, that'll be great. While your child is playing and moving around, this will help slow them down, slow their movements down, and help keep them grounded or feel grounded. You can make an obstacle course to challenge her walking on uneven surfaces. You can have your child hold different shaped objects like putty, tongs, Play-Doh to work on their grasp patterns. Having your child play horizontally can also strengthen their core and their arms, which is important. Most of the time, you can use the objects you already have at the house, which is great, and just make it fun. If you have a large space or room inside your house or a backyard, that'll be a great space for your child to play in, and that's a safe environment. If your child is prone to falls or bumping into things, cushion sharp corners or keep pillows around. Have different textures to play with, colorful objects, whatever works for your child. Everybody's different, and everybody responds to sensory input differently, so whatever works for your child, go with that. If your child is having some sensory overload, or what we would call like overstimulation, you want to slow them down by calming the environment. So that may look like walking them into a quiet, darker room, putting some calming music on, giving them like slow, deep massages, whatever works for your child. We just want to slow down the input that they're receiving. So those are, some common examples that you can do. So yeah, if you'd like to learn more about sensory processing disorder and sensory integration, Sensory Mom is a great website that lists tons of references and resources. Star Institute is another great resource online. We have tons of occupational therapists. We have tons of websites like the OT Toolbox. They have great information. There's also a sensory processing disorder community website, and that's specifically for parents. So yeah, if you have any other questions, just let me know and I'll get you some more information. I hope this was helpful. Thank you. Bye.